Good morning, students. Welcome to our class From Home to Home. Today we are going to read a very beautiful poem written by Robert Louis Stevenson titled My Shadow. Let's learn a little bit about the poet of the poem. Robert Louis Stevenson was a Scottish novelist, poet and travel writer, and he is most noted for The Treasure Island, Kidnapped, and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So let's read the poem. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me. In the first two lines, the poet says that his shadow follows him everywhere. Wherever he goes, his shadow follows him. And what can be the use of him is more than I can see. And my shadow is useful in more ways that I can realize. He is very, very like me from the heels up to the head. Since it's the shadow of the boy, so the shadow looks exactly like the boy. And I can see him jump before me when I jump into my bed. But when the boy goes to sleep, his shadow jumps into the bed before him. This is because the light is falling from behind, and the fact is we have our shadows in front of us when light falls from behind. And if light is in front of us, our shadow is behind us. The funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow. But the way my shadow grows is very funny. Not at all like proper children, which is always very slow. Because my shadow doesn't grow like proper children who grow so slow, maybe about 2-3 inches or maybe 4 inches in a year. For he sometimes shoot up taller like an India rubber ball. Depending upon the light, shadow grows tall like stretching a rubber or an elastic. And he sometimes gets so little that there is none of him at all. And when the light is above my head, my shadow gets so little, it's like there is no shadow at all. One morning very early, before the sun, I was up. So one morning I got up before the sunrise. I rose and found the shining dew on every buttercup. I saw that there was shining dew on every flower, especially the buttercups. But my lazy little shadow, like an orange sleepyhead, had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in bed. Sleepyhead here is a person who is full of sleep, means too sleepy. So without the sunlight, there is not going to be any shadow. The poet says that my lazy, bad, sleepy shadow stayed behind in the bed. So let's revise the word meanings of the poem. First of all is India's rubber ball. It's a ball that can bounce very high. It is full of elastic. Second is buttercup. Buttercup is a yellow flower. Errant is bad, and errant sleepyhead is completely inattentive, means somebody who is not paying any attention, who is in complete oblivion. So next we will do some question and answer. First of all is, who do you think your shadow looks like? So your answer is going to be, I think my shadow looks exactly like me, because it is your shadow It will look exactly like you. Second question is, why do you think your shadow jumps into bed before you can? Here you can see the light is coming from behind. So shadow definitely is in front of the puppy. So the answer is, the shadow is not a physical thing and it appears faster than light. It is because of that my shadow jumps into bed before I can. Third question is, what time of the day do you think it is when a shadow is the tallest? So what time do you think? Is it morning or afternoon or night? So our shadow is the tallest in the morning when the sun rays are slanting at the time of the sunrise. Next is, read the lines from the poem and answer the following. He is very, very like me, from the heels up to the head. So who does he refers to? So he refers to the shadow. Who does me refer to? Me refers to the poet. And why are he and me alike? The answer is, he and me are alike because they look exactly like each other, because they are one is the shadow, one is the person. Next is, what would you do if a dog chases you? So the answer of it is going to be, if a dog chases me, I would not run and instead walk slowly. This is the proper thing to do. If a dog runs after you or chases you, you should stand and then start walking slowly. So next is, what would you do if you have forgotten your homework copy at home? So this is the most likely scenario in school. If I would have forgotten my homework copy at home, I would apologize to my class teacher about it. Then what would you do if you are alone in a room and the lights are out? What would you do? If I'm alone in my room and lights are out, I would light a candle. Now we will have to fill up some blanks. Fill in the blanks using one of the words given in the brackets. Where is the child dash parents have come to school? We have to fill who, whose, and or which. So what are you going to fill here? We are going to fill whose. Where is the child whose parents have come to school? Next is, I saw many houses dash were quite spacious. Which, whose, who. So what are you going to fill up here? We're going to fill which. I saw many houses which were quite spacious. Next is, mathematics dash is my favorite subject, is so interesting. So we are going to fill who, which, or that. It is going to be which. Mathematics, which is my favorite subject, is so interesting. Next is, the poem dash you read out is so lovely. Whose, which, that. So what are you going to fill here? The poem that you read out is so lovely. Next is, I know the street dash he lives on. Whose, that, or which. So what are you going to fill? Which. I know the street which he lives on. Next is, I like reading books dash have pictures in it. So we have the choice of filling that, who, which. So what are you going to fill here? that. I like reading books that have pictures in it. The old lady dash I met in your house is my neighbor. Whom, that, which. So the answer is whom. The old lady whom I met in your house is my neighbor. So next exercise is to write. Complete the description by answering the question below. What do you think is the name of the dog? Why is she called that? What color is she? Do you think she is friendly? What does she like to eat? And then write a few lines on Mittu and his little dog named Shadow. So here you have been given an exercise to write about a dog shown here in this picture and use your imagination. What could be the name of the dog and why is the dog called by that name? And then you have to write the color of the dog and then you have to write that if the dog is friendly or not. And also what does she like to eat. So here we are going to say aloud a few words. You have to practice them speaking loudly because they are tongue twisters. Shoe, ship, shall. First one is shoe, ship, shall. Shadow, sheep, shade. Shadow, sheep, shade. Fish, dish, wish. Third one is fish, wish, dish. Next is bush, wash, brush. Bush, wash, brush. Here you have to read this poem with me and then you will be given some exercises based on this poem in your creative writing work. When the sun shines, I can see my shadow right in front of me. When I walk, my shadow walks. When I hop, my shadow hops. When I jump, my shadow jumps. And when I stop, my shadow stops. That's all for today's lesson. Goodbye, children. Stay home, stay safe.